This is We the Sales Engineers Podcast, show 271.
Welcome to We the SEs Podcast, the show for sales engineers by sales engineers with your host, Ramsey Majaba.
What's up, SE Nation? Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Ramsey Majaba, and on here we talk about sales engineering and pre-sales in general. And today is a solo show, so we don't have any guests, but my focus today is about enablement. Why, from what I've seen, it sucks in most companies, or in a lot of companies. I don't want to generalize, but it does suck based on my experience. And what I think should be done instead, or as an add-on. And so if you're trying to break into sales engineering, maybe this is not the most useful episode for you, but if you do break in, at least you have an idea of what's in store for you and what you can do to maybe help yourself get better at the job and not have to worry about not being onboarded properly or not being enabled properly. So I've been a sales engineer for 9 years now, almost. I became a sales engineer in July 2014. So in a month, it'll be 9 years. And I worked for a few companies. I've also talked to hundreds of people. And some organizations have sales enablement. Others have pre-sales enablement, or sales engineering enablement, or solution engineering enablement. Some have both, some have neither. And when they have neither, it's usually on the manager to enable their SEs. Okay. So from where I'm sitting, my personal experience has been that if the organization does not have an enablement program, or at least an SE enablement program, and it's on the managers, it's usually better than having a pre-sales enablement program if you have a good manager, obviously. If you have a bad manager, then really the life sucks in general, so I wouldn't be worried about enablement specifically. So if you have a good manager, they usually do a good job with enablement. They try to help you get better. But before we jump into enablement and actually break that down, I wanted to put out some definitions. Right? What is sales enablement? Well, I went on the interwebs, and this is what Salesforce has to say about sales enablement. I'm going to read it. Sales enablement means training your reps to sell. You coach them, educate them with content and certifications, and bring them together at events like sales kickoffs. It's anything you can do to help them close more deals faster. Some key words here is coach them, educate them with content, and certification. I'm not sure what certifications they're talking about. I don't think it's technical certification. It could be like negotiation certification, stuff like that. But it could be technical, I guess. Like I've heard people talk about AWS. What was there's a basic AWS certification. Let me check that out. Please hold. AWS certs, cloud practitioner. AWS cloud practitioner. From what I've heard from like Trevor Spires, for example, he says that's a useful certification for salespeople and managers. So here you go. Now, what about pre-sales enablement? What is the definition for that? What is available on the interwebs? Well, I could not find anything about pre-sales enablement on the interwebs. There are terms people use pre-sales enablement, and then when I go look through it, they don't actually define anything. And that's the problem. It seems like pre-sales enablement, or enablement of sales engineers, as an afterthought. It seems it's an afterthought for most companies. Some companies have them. I know that. I've talked to people who have pre-sales enablement. Even my company has technical enablement for sales engineers, solutions engineers. But that's part of the reason. Here are some things that I see about enablement in general and why I think it sucks. So, for account managers, they have some enablement. Like there's some form of training that account managers go through, whether it's solution selling, which I know sales engineers at my previous salespeople and sales engineers at my previous company went through. spin selling, challenger sales, which I don't think is great. Everybody talks about it as if it's the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know why. That's my current company's standards, which is meh. Sandler, whatever it is. And I think these trainings are great in vacuum, right? And I think Mike Tyson once said, "Everybody has a plan until you get hit in the face." And it seems that we only get hit in the face. Salespeople get hit in the face when they're in front of a customer instead of practicing it. So it's usually these trainings are usually a 3-day to 5-day training where you go on site somewhere, go through some stuff, and then go back to the field and just do whatever it is that you do, right? Most of the people that I've worked with, most of the salespeople that I work with, do these trainings. They look at me and said, "Oh, we've already done like several of these like in the past. They're all the same," and then they proceed to not do anything that's in the training. So, former company did solution selling, sales engineers and sales. Current company does the challenger sales. None of the SEs are trained in that. It's only the salespeople. Some of the SEs get to watch some like on-demand videos, which are not helpful. Like online, like click here, what kind of questions are asked. It's just useless. So that's the first thing I see for account managers. Another thing I see for account managers is they might, and I mean might, get some specialty training, whether it's negotiation or social selling or any other specialty or advanced training, if you will. But for example, the salespeople at my company got 4 hours of negotiation training, and I think it was like a 30-minute social selling training. So it's not really great, especially in the market that we're in today, where social selling is very important. Negotiation is important. Customers already have a lot of information. So, yeah. Other companies might have different trainings, and if your company does, that's great. This is all based on my experience. The third thing that I see where salespeople get some training is during QBRs or sales kickoffs, which I think was mentioned by Salesforce up top. But what I've seen through those trainings is they get to sit through marketing slides. A product manager comes up with marketing slides and bam, you show it. That's what you see. In the sales kickoff training we done a few years ago, that's where they did the negotiation, 4 hours of negotiation training. And the expectation is that now you know how to negotiate, which is untrue because we never practice it. Now, from the SE's perspective, like that's all I see from a salespeople's perspective. From the SE's perspective, let's pretend we're following someone who's just joined a new company as an SE. Whether they're experienced or not doesn't really matter. The first few weeks, from what I've seen, is they get a list of things to do, like a list of things to do over 12 weeks, for example. Most of it is HR stuff. Set up your email, set up your account with Salesforce, do all this stuff, and do some training. Right? That's the first thing that I see. The second thing that I see is they might receive some technical training. Some of it is online, on-demand training. Again, I don't like those, personally. But others, like some companies are smart enough to actually hire a few people together, and now you get 20 people or 30 people, fly them off somewhere for a 1 week or 2 week onboarding program where they are trained on the products. Now, the problem that I see with that is sometimes you have brand new SEs who've never done anything. Sometimes you have brand new, like new grads coming in and joining a company. And sometimes and at the same time, you have people who have been doing this for 10, 15 years and just changed companies. And they all get the same training. So they don't even train for the least common denominator. So the new grads are overwhelmed. And the people who have been doing this for 20 years or 10 years are bored. Again, that's my experience. Your experience could be different. I hope it is. I really do. But I could say this is not unheard of. And you get 1 week or 2 weeks of training. And if you have a company that has 20, 30 products that SEs have to know, 1 to 2 weeks is not enough to get in-depth training and everything. Like, if you look at AWS, they have a lot of products there, but they also have certifications, right? So you get the onboarding, but now you have certifications that you can do and you can learn. Other companies have the same amount of products, but don't have any of the certifications, and don't have online courses that are good enough to train and to learn. So they're on their own. So when the SEs get back home after 1 to 2 weeks, they're on their own again to learn these products again. There might be some videos, on-demand courses, but from my experience, it's not enough. They just SEs end up playing with the product until they learn it. And I believe companies like Cisco, AWS, VMware, they have very well produced, very well maintained and updated training material that people can go through and learn a lot. But most of these trainings are centered around features and functions, how you do something. And like if there's a brand new SE, someone who's never done this before, and they join the company and they learn all that, well, I don't know why people are surprised when that new SE goes and talks to a customer. All they talk about is feature and function, and not discuss the business problems, what they're solving, and all that. So that's severely lacking. The fourth thing I see for like people joining the company or for continuous learning, it's mentoring. And SEs are usually assigned a mentor. Some are really helpful. Some really love helping other people and want the best for the new SE. But in many cases, from what I've seen, is mentors are assigned. They might not even want to be mentors, but they're being challenged by their manager to become one. Or they want a promotion and they need to tick a box so that they can go talk to the manager and say, hey, you said if I want to get a senior role, I need to mentor someone. I did it. So it's these are things that why I dislike mentoring. Like if there's a good mentor, that's great. But aside mentoring, I have a problem with it. And I actually created a video like a year ago. And there's a link in the show notes, or if you're watching this on YouTube, which by the way you can, I'll leave a link somewhere up here or in the description. So that's why like mentoring is available. Some depending on your luck, whether even if as an experienced SE, like I joined a company as an experienced SE who's been doing that for 5 years. I didn't have a good mentor. Like I was on my own trying to figure stuff out. Like where do I even get documentation, or where do I even watch the videos so I can learn? So now that's a brand new SE joining a company. Let's say some SE has been there for a while. There's a need for continuous education, right? Continuous learning. There are always new features, new technologies that people need to learn. So some companies have like technical resources for SEs, technical training. Uh, and a lot of times companies hire SEs that come from within the industry that they want, so that they don't have to provide all that training to begin with. But now a lot of companies are looking at potential as well, so they might hire someone from outside the industry, and they have to learn a lot of the technologies that are required. They're usually provided like through like O'Reilly Learning or through Pluralsight or Cloud Guru, right, or Udemy, whatever it is. They are provided somewhere else, and they're not taught the products specifically with those technology training. They're taught about like, networking or machine learning or Linux, whatever, APIs. So that's one source of training. And then you have the product training. Most of the product trainings that I've attended have either been marketing, where they talk about the new features that are coming out, or it's been technically they talk about the technology so much and the features and the functions and the bits and the bytes that almost all of them forget about the business. Like the product training is done by engineers who are focused on specific features, specific functionality, and they're not focused on the business problem. So then the SE has to go out and figure out, like, all right, what problem did we solve with this thing? Right? I know customers have been asking for this feature, but why are they asking for this feature? How is that helpful to them? How can I sell it? I have not seen training about how you can sell this new feature that that we just came out with. Again, if your company does that, I'm happy for you. If your company doesn't, maybe you should think about it. And you have some companies that invest in some sales engineering skills training, like John Kerr, Chris White, Peter Cohen. Right? John Kerr and Chris White do general SE training. Demo training, you have Peter Cohen, great demo, and you have Demo to Win. You have people who are like demo coaches, such as Kerry Sokolsky and Brian Geary, both watch like a demo and then critique it and then train people on how to do better demos. So even that, like, there's so much. I think Peter right now is going more into discovery because it's an important aspect, and it's been when people focus on demo only, I think they're missing a big portion of sales engineering. So what's missing? Most companies don't invest in those sales engineering skills training, and even if they do, it's there for 3 weeks, for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Maybe they do a couple of review sessions, but then the SE's back to be on their own. It's like saying you're about to join the NBA. Here's a 4-day boot camp for you. Now go play in the NBA without a coach, or play football, whatever sport you want to pick. That's the example that I see here. So sales engineering skills training has to be something that's continuous. And you don't have to like invest in the training every week, but you can invest in a course that coaches within your organization, so that they can continue doing it. And coaching, whether it's for salespeople or SEs, is severely lacking. The only coaching I see for salespeople specifically, and even SEs, are for those who are struggling. I mentioned this many times where I felt like I was the best thing since sliced bread because I was hitting quota, but I was a horrible SE. All I did was spray and pray. And if you don't know what spray and pray is, it's you have a slide deck of 300 slides, and you just go through every single one of them and see which sticks with the customer, see what resonates with them, so they would buy despite of me, not because of me. And I did great because my quota was so low that if I sold a couple of things, like I hit my quota and I'm good. So I think coaching should be a continuous thing. Right? It should be coaching in group settings, or it could be coaching on one-on-one settings, but not just for those who are struggling. The issues are sales engineer managers are so busy with a million other things that their job is mostly to put out fires or do couples counseling when you have account managers and SEs tied together. So they don't even have time to coach. A lot of them want to coach. I don't see them having the time to coach. I've had a few SE managers, only like one of them had bi-weekly calls with me. And those bi-weekly calls were not coaching calls, they were like funnel review calls. Like, what projects are you working on? But no one told me how to do a demo. I had to go learn that on my own. Some companies teach that, great. Most companies don't. Or a lot of companies teach it incorrectly. I've sat on demo training where a manager is teaching a brand new SE how to demo, and it's all wrong. They're teaching them to like show every field. It's just all wrong. So you need professionals to come and teach, in my opinion, or coach. And I am biased. I am a coach, but it doesn't have to be an external coach. It could be an internal coach who just knows what they're doing. Right? There's a lot of great SEs who work for a lot of different companies who know what they're doing. So if you don't want to invest externally, then elevate someone within the team to actually do the coaching. If you're a startup, then I think you should invest in someone, personally. But, take that with a grain of salt. The other thing that's missing is watching tape. I mean, some people watch like through Gong. I haven't I've heard of people doing it. I haven't seen anyone do it. But I haven't seen that done for SEs. Also, well, it depends on the meeting. Like, we have discovery calls. Not many people review those. We have proof of concept calls. And by that, like setting the stages for a proof of concept, doing deliberations, figure out what tests they want to run, what integrations they want to do. All these things are not reviewed. What I've seen reviewed the most are demo tapes. And like Kerry Sokolsky, I mentioned him earlier from Pre-Sales Mastery, he does that. He reviews demos and he just goes through them and gives them like 150 points feedback system where they have to do it. But what about the demo tapes? What about the POC tapes? Managers barely have time to do what they have to do. Why isn't that part of enablement where there's a coach? Like if you have an enablement team, a pre-sales enablement team, if you don't have one, you should have one. If you do have one, there should be a coach assigned to a group of people who watches their tapes, who figures out what's missing, what's done, and then you get to go practice those. Right? Sales engineers are the athletes of the sales world or the business world, and we get almost zero practice. If we do get practice, it's on our own in front of a mirror, and that's just giving us feedback ourselves. Great, we can do some stuff, but if we don't know something, we need someone to come and tell us. So where are the enablement people there? When we do discovery calls, what are you practicing the methodology that the team has been trained on? Like if your company uses challenger sales, one, where the SEs train on it. Two, are we practicing it? And are we practicing that with our account managers at the same time? Whether you're tied one-to-one or in a pool setting, you still have to practice that with the people that you're going to end up working with. And the beauty of that is you have other SEs within your team who'd love to pretend to be the customer for a day so that they can ask the hard questions. They can try to trip you up, and they present a challenge. Also, sharing stories between colleagues. Depending on the relationships you have, you can share on a one-on-one basis, but we should have repositories of win-loss analysis. You should have stories somewhere to actually share all this information, and someone, SEs, can just go and look, and whether it's a recording or a video. And I really hope your company does have that. I'm saying many don't. I just keep repeating that. And one thing that's missing, I find, is working together as a team between sales and SEs. I mean, sales and SEs have a love-hate relationship. Right? We know we need each other, or at least I hope we know we need each other, but we don't train enough together. The salespeople are always busy trying to close deals and being out there, and they don't invest as much time learning something or practicing. And SEs need, like, we can practice alone, but that's like, say, the center at a basketball team or a running back is practicing on their own, but there's no quarterback to pass them the ball. I'm liking my sports analogies today. So we need to work together. Right now, the training that I see is separate. AEs train separately than SEs if they train at all. And we need to learn to work together. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. If you have an idea, if your organization does something differently, I would love to learn about it. I'd love to have you on the podcast and discuss it. So reach out to me, Ramsey at We the Sales Engineers. I'm not hard to find. Let me know. If you're a company looking to want a coach for your SEs, reach out to me as well. I'd love to help. Even if it's like not a formal relationship, even if you're just looking for advice or something, happy to chat. So that's it for me. I paused the camera a second ago, and now because I'm coughing and now I'm tearing up a little bit. I hope it doesn't show. And if it does, if it doesn't, I just told you about it. Anyways, that's it for me. I will see you next time. With that, I'm signing off.